What's up everyone, today we have a great discussion for you guys. We're going to be talking about what to expect from Pokemon on the Nintendo NX and how Pokemon Go and the advanced hardware found within the NX could revolutionize the series. Here with me to discuss this is the King of Hype himself, HMK, and an expert on Pokemon, Birdkeeper Toby, who will be starting us off with his thoughts. But I would love for you to be a part of the conversation as well. If you have anything to add, want to join as a guest on a future discussion, or just want to share your thoughts with us, please subscribe and comment below. And with that out of the way, let's get started.
So one of the big things that's obviously exploded in the Pokemon community recently is Pokemon Go, and this kind of feeds into what we've been talking about really, and how mobile gaming has just suddenly evolved into something new because augmented reality. Everyone thought virtual reality was going to be the big thing, and it seems to be the case that augmented reality is taking a big front stage, and. So with Pokemon Go, with Pokemon, obviously we're now at a point where we have like over 700 creatures. It'll be over 800 creatures by the time Sun and Moon come out. And there's been a lot of talk about how the franchise can't keep on going forever, or certainly can't keep on going with the same, new installment repetitive. And actually, there's a lot of in-game lore and theories and stuff that suggest that this could be tying up all the loose ends, and this could be the end of the franchise. And one of the big discussions is, well, what would a Pokemon reboot look like? And given that we just have Pokemon Go, a lot of people are saying, well, this is the reboot. The next Pokemon game is going to be Pokemon Go 2, which has all the Johto Pokemon. Pokemon Go 3 has all the home Pokemon, and so on and so forth. And that maybe these handheld games stop, which might make sense in relation to the NX. However, it could be the sense that if we've got gaming on the go through the NX, is there a chance we'll see Pokemon Go on the NX, and maybe it will be a platform that supports augmented reality playing games out on the go, which again though means that the NX portable part has got to be pretty small, because again, who's going to want to carry a massive gamepad size thing around out and about with them? So I mean, that's just really what I wanted to get your opinions on and hear your thoughts on, because Pokemon is definitely at a point now where it could do with some shaking up for sure. And with the new technologies available to us through augmented reality on the phone and the NX that is coming out, it could be that the next Pokemon games, Generation 8, is something entirely different to what we expect.
I definitely see the big boom in what you're saying about, Pokemon Sun and Moon and Pokemon Go and how Pokemon cannot, go on forever. And I totally understand that, but I feel that Pokemon Sun and Moon is not only, I would say it's like, the end of the old guard in terms of Pokemon, but at the same time, it's also the start of the new guard in terms of Pokemon. Because one thing I've always loved about Pokemon is like the adventure from the top-down perspective and how like little chibi people. But at the same time, I was also longing for more ever since playing Pokemon XD and Pokemon Colosseum, because I love those games. And when compared to the main series of games, they were always like in the shadow of the main generations of games. They weren't really true Pokemon games. They were just side titles. You couldn't catch every Pokemon. There's only a set amount of Pokemon available to you. But now with Sun and Moon, we finally have that full perspective of a Pokemon adventure in the palm of your hand. Because X and Y was definitely playing around with a notion like that, but our characters were kind of chibi. The landscapes were still kind of weird and out. They were not really fully fleshed out like they were in XD and Colosseum. But Sun and Moon seems to be taking that route now, and this could be the first game in that new change for Pokemon. We don't need more Pokemon because we have like over 800 now. We don't need more Pokemon. What we need more is bigger scale adventures with these Pokemon. It's time to take that next evolutionary step. It's just it's been building up to this point, but now we finally have that next big thing. That's what's going to show us in the next Pokemon adventure. Maybe they'll finally decide to fully flesh out Kanto. Maybe something along the lines of the anime. I don't know, but that seems a little too overreaching. But something along those lines. And and at the same time, Pokemon Go could be something that is I wouldn't say hinting, but I would say showing Nintendo how people would I would say how they would grasp an adventure like that, because of course, as you said, augmented reality, Pokemon Go, we're out there, ourselves, we have to go to certain areas to find Pokemon, and sometimes we have to go to far out areas, and sometimes there's Pokemon not even available to us in our immediate area, or how far we can go away from our homes and stuff. and people are really going out of their way to catch certain Pokemon in this game. And this could show Nintendo is like, hey, people want these type of grand scale Pokemon adventures. We've tested it out with Pokemon Go. Perhaps we can translate this in the next game we decide to make after Sun and Moon, because Sun and Moon, even though it looks like it's taking that same perspective as Colosseum and XD is, I don't feel like it's going to be as fleshed out, as grand as I would imagine it to be. And if the NX is any type of indicator, if the NX is as powerful as we hope to be in terms of console power, maybe the next Pokemon game could be on the NX, where we finally have that grand scale Pokemon adventure on consoles that we always wanted. And Sun and Moon and Go were the stepping stones to that.
Yeah, going off of what HMK said, that we have seen that gradual evolution from the 2D top-down games to now it looks almost identical to how Colosseum looked on the GameCube. And if it continues to evolve with more powerful hardware as it has, then I think the next Pokemon could be what everyone's been wanting for basically the past 10 years or even longer, is that sort of taking an MMO approach to where you're your own trainer in your own story. Maybe you have an open world, maybe there's a set path, you can go out, catch all your Pokemon like you can in Pokemon Go, to where you visit all these different places, and even in the main game still you can go and there's different Pokemon in different areas. But if they take that to the next level and allow you to connect online, since you're always going to have this with you, and not just for battles, like maybe running around the world and finding other people trying to beat a gym or working together to do stuff. If they take that approach with this next level of graphics that the NX can offer, then I think that would be the best possible way, because they would, if it's the next Pokemon game after Sun and Moon, then they would get all the people that are already buying the mobile Pokemon games like X and Y and Sun and Moon. They'll be there for this next step, but it'll also bring in the people that may have set down Pokemon 5 years ago or 10 years ago and haven't really looked into it. Maybe if they go and take this approach, it'll bring them back, and especially with the success that Pokemon Go has been, I'm sure Nintendo, which really wasn't even involved that much with Pokemon Go, and all the other companies involved with Pokemon Go are sitting down thinking about how can they live up to the success of this with their next installment. Or with Nintendo, they're probably thinking, how can we make a side game or something that carries some of the success that Pokemon Go has reached.
So do you think, with this whole gaming on the go thing, do you think that's something that's definitely not going to be touching the NX in terms of like augmented reality?
I think we've seen it a little with the AR cards that the 3DS had, and if the NX had cameras at all, which I'm sure it does, probably on the front and the back, just as, say, the PlayStation Vita does, or any smartphone these days, I'm sure they'll use that in some way. Maybe they could somehow bring elements of Pokemon Go to where it is that augmented Pokemon hunting with a traditional Pokemon game, to where if maybe you're out walking around or something, maybe it'll vibrate or you'll get a notification and you can just pull it out and you'll catch a Pokemon like you would in Pokemon Go, but it'll carry over to the actual Pokemon game. That's how I would see that working, but I'm not totally sure because this is just beyond speculation for me. But what are your thoughts on this, HMK?
I feel that they could play around with something like some notion like that, but I mean, at the same time, it falls back to the question that we were asking all the way back in the beginning of the chat, like how big is the NX going to be if it's going to incorporate that type of augmented reality that Go is doing on the smartphone? Smartphones and tablets in the palm of your hand, and tablets, I've seen a shitload of people play Pokemon Go, and I haven't, not a lot of people use the tablet to play. From what I've seen, I could be wrong, but I don't know if it's going to incorporate augmented reality that much into the NX, because augmented reality was only like really played around with in terms of Nintendo consoles, like you said, with the 3DS and the AR cards, and those little out of the box games you get with the first boot of the 3DS. Augmented reality seems to be like the big thing that a lot of people's playing around with, but I really don't think that it should. I mean, it's not. It has no place in consoles. That's what I'm trying to say. Because consoles are still really trying to push VR. Smartphones, tablets, they have the augmented reality market. Consoles, they're trying to capture the virtual reality market. So I mean, I really don't believe that the NX, if it is what it is that we see it, I still don't believe that augmented reality is going to be such a thing with it, but at the same time, Pokemon Go has shown that augmented reality has found great success in the form of smartphones. Will it translate in the form of consoles? I'm not entirely sure, but that does sound like a gamble Nintendo would take. So I don't think it would, but knowing Nintendo, they probably are going to incorporate something like that into the NX if this is the NX.
Yeah, and to go back on what you were saying about rebooting the franchise, I think if they do, it will be, again, going back to what HMK was talking about with evolving the graphics, I think they could do, not necessarily a remake, maybe a reimagining of Red and Blue for the NX, where it's starting over with the original 150, or maybe even adding the next 100 from the second generation in there, but giving you this brand new style to where maybe it's still slightly top down like it is in Sun and Moon, or maybe it's a behind the back traditional third-person Pokemon game.
They should totally do a traditional one, and they have Monolith Soft behind them. Monolith Soft is owned by Nintendo, the second part, the people who make Xenoblade Chronicles and Xenoblade Chronicles X. If you guys have played the game, all the Nintendo do, not even Nintendo, all Pokemon companies need to do is, make that phone call and get them on board, and we can finally see that grand scale Pokemon game, with the help of Monolith Soft. They can do it. They've done great things with their games, and they're also helping with Breath of the Wild. So I mean, they can do some crazy stuff when it comes to a grand overworld with monsters and creatures teaming in that. And I feel that Xenoblade is like one of the biggest indicators that they are able to do that.
Yeah, one of the discussions. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say one thing that I would love to see is instead of walking in the grass and a Pikachu or Rattata coming out and catching it, if you could see the actual Pokemon. And
right.
This is something with Final Fantasy and other RPG games to where it was you walking around and then a random encounter. But now when you play Final Fantasy, you just see the monsters walking around the world as you do in Xenoblade. So if they did this with the Pokemon series, I think that would be great, especially sort of like with Pokemon Go, to where there's no Pokemon, but you can see grass coming up in the air, and then once you get close, the Pokemon will appear before you actually encounter it. If they did even something like that, to where it wasn't fully fledged Pokemon walking around the world, I think that would be a great way, like that next step in the Pokemon series. And if they do bring the first 150 or 151 Pokemon, instead of just having those Pokemon and none of the others from the other generations, I think it would be smart to go ahead and include pre-evolutions or evolutions of those Pokemon. So, where Pikachu hatches from an egg in Pokemon Red, but then later on we find out that Pichu hatches from the egg, and then that evolves into Pikachu. If they go ahead and rewrite that and make those other Pokemon part of the original or the next original,
in a way that isn't just sitting at home with the headset on talking to your friends over the online services.
Right. So that's the mystery, and Nintendo's always been one to experiment with things like that, and Pokemon Go is definitely a fruit, a nice fruit of that experimentation. So I feel they'll figure out a way to incorporate that type of social, because Pokemon was born out of getting gamers to be social, and they are the ones that pioneered the social gaming market way back when in 1996. So I feel that they would figure out a way in order to get that right balance of social gaming when it comes. The only way Pokemon knows how to do it, but how will they do it? We'll have to wait and see.
Okay, well, hey, I'm Birdkeeper Toby. I have a primarily Pokemon channel. I do Pokemon theories, top 10s, that kind of jazz, but I'm looking to move into Zelda come next year, which is why I thought it'd be a cool idea to reach out to some of you other Zelda tubers and just start talking about more Zelda-y things with you. And yeah, mostly I do theory stuff. I'm really into the lore of video games.
Hey guys, I'm H7K. I like to talk passionately about video games. I love to yell, I love to rant, I love to get people hyped, and I delve a lot into The Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. And like Birdkeeper Toby and Jesse, I am also a theorist. I love to do theories on The Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts. So if you like that, you should give my channel a try. But I also delve into all things Nintendo, a broad scope. But my main focus is my two biggest loves is definitely Zelda and Kingdom Hearts.